My daughter and I work as volunteer site hosts for the park service. What that means is we get to live on park property for free, and in exchange, we run the park. It's a pretty sweet deal, and we've been doing it for about 2 years now. My daughter is 14 and she's autistic. She's also the only child in our area of the park service right now, which can be lonely sometimes. But the other volunteers are amazing people who always make sure to include her in everything. We got into this volunteer work after my divorce a few years back. Money was tight, and I was looking for a way to give my daughter stability while also teaching her about service to others. The Park Service volunteer program seemed perfect. We'd have a place to live, meaningful work, and be part of a community. It's been one of the best decisions I ever made. Every year, our group has this big holiday party. It's the one time everyone from all the different park sites gets together. This year they decided to play a game called Dirty Santa. I'd never played it before, and honestly, I was nervous about letting my daughter participate. She doesn't always handle disappointment well, and this game seemed like it could get messy. But she really wanted to play, so I sat her down and explained everything beforehand. I told her most of the gifts would probably be practical stuff like knives and tools, maybe some gag gifts. I made sure she understood the rules completely. I explained to her that everyone gets a number, and when it's your turn, you can either pick a wrapped gift from the pile or steal someone else's gift. I told her that if someone steals your gift, you get another turn. She asked if she could steal someone else's gift back, and I confirmed that was exactly right. Then I explained the most important rule: once a gift has been stolen 3 times, that's it. The third person gets to keep it no matter what. She said she thought she could handle it if someone took her gift. I asked if she was really sure because this game can get pretty competitive, and I didn't want her to get upset. She insisted she was sure and that she wanted to play with everyone. So we joined the game. There were 30 people total, and my daughter drew number 17. I got number 21. The game started, and just like I predicted, people were opening pocket knives, drill bits, headlamps, and other practical stuff. Everyone was laughing and having a good time when someone stole something. Then, around turn 7 or 8, this one guy opened a virtual reality headset. It was clearly the best gift in the whole pile. Everyone was joking about how that was going to get stolen immediately. A few minutes later, it was my daughter's turn. Before she could even decide what to do, the guy with the VR headset stood up and walked over to her. He told her she should have the headset and just handed it to her with the biggest smile. My daughter's face lit up like Christmas morning. She asked if he was really sure, and he said absolutely and told her to enjoy it. Everyone in the room was smiling and clapping. It was such a sweet moment. Of course, I had to remind her that the game wasn't over yet. I reminded her that someone could still steal it from her since she was only number 17 out of 30. She said she knew that, but she was going to enjoy it while she had it. The game continued, and everyone was having fun. When someone's gift got stolen, they'd laugh about it and everyone would cheer. It was all in good spirits. That is, until turn 19. This woman I'd never seen before walked up to my daughter. She didn't say a word, just snatched the VR headset right out of her hands and walked back to her table with this smug smirk on her face. The entire room went dead silent. It wasn't just that she took the gift, that's part of the game. It was the way she did it. No apology or explanation or anything. Just grabbed it and walked away like she was taking candy from a baby. I looked around the room and saw everyone's faces. They were all thinking the same thing I was. This woman had just targeted the only disabled child in the room and done it in the cruelest way possible. My daughter handled it better than I would have. I could see she was crushed, but she just nodded and said she understood. I was so proud of her in that moment. She told me it was okay, and that's how the game works. I told her I was really proud of how she was handling this, but here's the thing this woman didn't realize. I hadn't gone yet, and I was number 21. She also clearly hadn't been paying attention because that headset had now been stolen twice. One more steal and whoever got it would keep it permanently. When my turn came, I walked over to her table. I apologized but told her I needed to take that VR headset. I was polite about it, but I made sure to look her right in the eye. She tried to argue, but the game leader confirmed the rules. I walked that headset right back to my daughter. The woman was furious. She was complaining about how unfair it was, but she had to draw a new gift from the pile. She ended up with some random gift, I think it was a shower gel set. That's when something beautiful happened. Turn 22 came up, and that person immediately stole whatever gift the woman had. She had to draw again. Then turn 23 did the same thing, and 24, and 25. For the rest of the game, every single person made it their mission to steal whatever gift this woman had. She'd draw something new, and immediately the next person would take it from her. These were grown men stealing women's shower gel sets and scented candles just to mess with her. Nobody said anything about it. Everyone just acted like they really wanted whatever random gift she had. It was the most passive-aggressive thing I've ever seen, and it was absolutely perfect. The woman kept getting more and more frustrated. She complained that it wasn't fair and asked why everyone kept taking her gifts. The game leader reminded her that those were the rules, and if someone wanted her gift, they could take it. She said it was ridiculous and that she should get to keep something. Then some random guy pointed out that she had a nice hand lotion set and asked if he could take it. By the end of the game, she'd had about 8 different gifts stolen from her. The only thing she got to keep was the very last gift she drew, a small bottle of something called potpourri that's supposed to make your bathroom smell better. The whole room was trying not to laugh as she sat there with her little bottle of toilet spray while my daughter happily played with her VR headset. After the party, several people came up to me and my daughter to check on us. They were all apologizing for that woman's behavior, which was completely unnecessary but really sweet. One of the park supervisors pulled me aside. The supervisor told me that woman wasn't part of our regular group. She explained that the woman was someone's guest and she wouldn't be invited back. I told the supervisor I appreciated that, but honestly, my daughter handled it great. I said that seeing everyone rally around her like that meant more to me than anything. I've been living in this older apartment complex for about 2 years now, ever since I scored an amazing rental deal during the pandemic. The place isn't fancy by any means, but it has good security and decent amenities. Most of the units are owner-occupied, though some people rent theirs out like my landlord does. The building's got this weird mix of residents, older folks who bought their units decades ago when they were dirt cheap, some new money types who paid over $1 million for their places, and middle-class renters like me just trying to get by. The one annoying thing about living here is getting to my apartment from the street. You have to take 2 separate elevators, one from street level to the security desk, then another from security up to the residential floors. When it gets busy, it can be a real pain waiting around. Ever since the pandemic started, management changed the elevator rules. Now only one household can ride at a time because the elevators are too small for social distancing. They also modified them so they won't stop if someone's already inside, which prevents people from trying to squeeze in while you're going to your floor. The way it works now is pretty simple. Doesn't matter if you press the up or down button, it just calls whichever elevator is available and you can go wherever you need to go. Management sent this explanation to everyone in the building via email. I work from home doing tech support, so I spend most of my day wearing headphones. They're nothing fancy, but I saved up for months to buy them because I use them constantly for work calls and just general daily use. I also have a 40-pound cattle dog who's deaf but incredibly sweet. He needs regular walks and I always bring my headphones along. So there I was last Tuesday, heading back from walking my dog. I had my headphones on listening to a podcast when we got to the first set of elevators. There was an older couple waiting along with this middle-aged woman who screamed typical wealthy resident. She had on pearls, diamond earrings, a massive wedding ring, and clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I'm guessing her husband works in tech management or something while she does marketing. I noticed only the up button was pressed, so I hit the down button to call another elevator and got back in line. I figured once their elevator left, I could press the up button again and save everyone some time since 2 more people with dogs had gotten in line behind me. The older couple's elevator arrived and they left. Then the second elevator came. My glasses were all fogged up from the cold, but I could see this lady waving at me to take it, so I pulled off my headphones. I told her politely that she was there first and I'd catch the next one. She insisted it was going down and was meant for me. I started to explain that I was just calling another elevator when she suddenly got really aggressive, yelling at me to look at the line and get in the elevator. She was being incredibly rude, and it was clear she didn't understand how the elevators work now, even though it had been over a year since the changes. I decided it wasn't my problem to explain why she was wrong, so I put my headphones back on and got in the elevator. I pressed the button for the first floor to go to the security desk. While the doors were closing, she must have pressed the up button because they opened back up. I pressed the door close button and heard a loud yell over my music. She then sprinted into the elevator and saw that I was going up. She started screaming that I couldn't wait, so I lied and skipped her, claiming it was her elevator and demanding I get out. She was holding her hand over the door sensor so the doors wouldn't close. I paused my music and tried to explain that I had said I would catch the next one, but she had insisted I take this one. She must have thought I was turning my music up and ignoring her because she suddenly started grabbing at my headphones and smacking me right across the face. She kept yelling at me to take off my headphones, calling me a liar, and screaming that it was her elevator while demanding I get out. My dog is deaf, but he's not stupid. He started barking and growling at full force, which made the lady jump back with my headphones in her hands. I was trying to drag him out of the elevator when she ran forward and kicked him square in the stomach. She threw my headphones to the ground, stomped on them, then kicked them out of the elevator before taking her ride up. I was freaking out. The other people waiting in line were freaking out. All of this over an elevator misunderstanding. Thankfully, after about 20 minutes, my dog got up and seemed okay, just skittish. One of the people in line must have told security what happened, because a guard came down to talk to me. The guard asked if I was alright and told me they had called the police and were pulling all the security camera footage. He said they had identified the woman and needed me to wait upstairs. I gave my statement and we rode up to security together. She was there with her husband and the two people who had been behind me in line. Her husband looked exactly like I expected. Some sort of upper management tech guy with his button-up shirt tucked into dark blue jeans. I asked if I could put my dog in my apartment first, which they let me do, then I came back down. Her husband approached me immediately and asked how much the headphones cost. I told him $400. He handed me the money from his wallet without hesitation. I quickly took it and put it in my pocket. The lady was looking smug, like this wasn't the first time money had solved one of her problems. But I guess she forgot she didn't just break my headphones. When the police asked if I wanted to press charges, I said yes. She immediately started yelling at me, saying I couldn't be serious over a stupid elevator and that the whole thing was ridiculous. Her husband was holding her back, trying to drag her away from the police and me, while she threw insults and swear words at everyone. When she started yelling that she hoped she had hurt my dog and how she was going to kill him, the police had heard enough. They used their taser and took her down to the patrol car with her husband following behind. From what I understand, she's being charged with assault, animal cruelty, assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, and public intoxication. All of this drama over a miscommunication that could have saved maybe 3 minutes of waiting for an elevator. The security guard told me later that the cameras caught everything, so there's no question about what happened. The building management is also considering whether to take action regarding her residency. Her husband seemed mortified by the whole thing and kept apologizing to everyone. I used the money he gave me to buy new headphones, even better ones this time. I've been driving trucks for about 15 years now, and I have learned to be pretty patient on the road. You have to be when you're handling something that big. But what happened today really pushed my buttons. My reverse gear has been acting up lately. The transmission is getting old, and sometimes it just won't engage properly. That's why I've been parking way in the back of parking lots wherever I go. It's easier to pull forward out of a spot than to risk getting stuck trying to back up. My mechanic says it's gonna cost me about $2,000 to fix it, and I just don't have that kind of money right now. So anyway, I was heading to the grocery store to pick up some stuff for dinner. I was driving down the main road minding my own business when this BMW comes flying off the highway like a bat out of hell. The guy cuts right into my lane without even looking. I had to slam on my brakes and swerve to avoid getting hit. My heart was pounding because if I'd hit him, my truck would have crushed his little car. The BMW driver immediately switched back to his original lane like nothing happened. No apology wave, no acknowledgement that he almost caused an accident. Nothing. We ended up at the same red light, both in the left turn lanes. I figured that was the end of it. But no, when we started turning, this guy cuts me off again. He switches right back into my lane and almost clips my front bumper. I had to hit my brakes again to avoid rear-ending him. I was getting pretty steamed at this point. 2 near misses in the span of 5 minutes, and this guy was driving like he owned the road. I tried to get a look at him through his rear window, but all I could see was the back of his head. We both ended up at the same grocery store parking lot. Of course we did. I parked way in the back like always, grabbed my shopping list, and started walking toward the entrance. The BMW pulled into a spot much closer to the front. When I was walking past his car, the driver suddenly jumps out and starts speed walking toward the store. And wouldn't you know it, he cuts right in front of me again, this time on foot. I had to stop walking to avoid bumping into him. That's when I got a good look at him. He was wearing one of those vendor shirts with a company logo on it and carrying a tablet, probably some kind of sales representative or delivery coordinator. He was in his 30s, average height, and had this rushed, self-important way of moving. I followed him into the store, still grumbling under my breath about rude people. I grabbed a cart and started doing my shopping. I needed to pick up some frozen pizzas for my kids, so I headed to the frozen food section. That's when I saw him again. The BMW driver was standing near the frozen pizza cases, but he wasn't shopping. He was looking at his tablet, probably checking some work stuff. Then he just sets the tablet down on top of one of the freezer cases and walks off down another aisle. Who just leaves expensive electronics sitting around in a grocery store? I stood there for a minute watching to see if he'd come back, but he didn't. I kept shopping, grabbed a few pizzas, and circled back around. The tablet was still sitting there. I made another pass through the aisle. Still there. This went on for about 5 minutes. Other customers were walking by and I kept expecting someone to either take it or turn it in. Finally, I decided to do something about it. I walked over, picked up the tablet, and looked around for an employee. I spotted the young guy in a store uniform restocking the ice cream. I told him that someone had left this tablet here and walked off and asked if he could take it to customer service. The employee seemed surprised and said that people leave stuff all the time and that he'd get it to the front desk right away. I explained that I figured someone should turn it in before it gets stolen. The employee took the tablet and headed toward the front of the store. I went back to my shopping, feeling pretty good about doing the right thing. I was picking out some vegetables when I heard commotion from the frozen food section. I wandered back over and there was the BMW driver looking around frantically. He was checking on top of all the freezer cases, looking under shelves, clearly panicking. He was talking to himself, getting more and more agitated, wondering where his tablet was and saying he couldn't believe it was gone. A few other customers were starting to stare. I just stood there watching, not saying anything. He kept muttering about how unbelievable it was that someone stole his tablet, claiming he'd only set it down for 2 seconds. He started looking around at other customers suspiciously, like one of us was a thief. He walked up to an older lady who was shopping nearby. He asked her if she'd seen anyone take a tablet from over there. The older lady apologized and said she hadn't seen anything. He asked a few more people, getting more frustrated each time. Nobody had seen anything, of course. Then he walked off toward the front of the store, probably to report it stolen. I finished my shopping and headed to the checkout. When I was paying, I could hear him at the customer service desk, loudly complaining that someone had stolen his tablet and that he'd left it right there and now it was gone. The customer service person told him to calm down and said they'd check if anyone had turned anything in. There was a pause. Then I heard the customer service person say something about checking the lost and found. A few minutes later, I heard a much quieter conversation. The customer service person told him they had his tablet and that someone had turned it in about 10 minutes ago. His response was just a quiet acknowledgement and thanks. His voice was completely different now. Embarrassed, deflated. He realized he'd been accusing innocent people of theft when someone had actually been trying to help him. I walked past the customer service desk on my way out, and our eyes met for just a second. He looked down immediately, probably recognizing me from the parking lot incident. I didn't say anything, just kept walking. When I was loading my groceries into my truck, I saw him come out of the store. He was walking much slower now, looking sheepish. He got in his BMW and sat there for a minute before starting it up. I'll admit, it was pretty petty of me to not just tell him where his tablet was. But after getting cut off 3 times in 15 minutes, I figured a little inconvenience wouldn't hurt him. Maybe next time he'll think twice before driving like a maniac and cutting people off. The funny thing is, he probably never connected the dots. He probably doesn't even remember cutting me off multiple times. To him, it was just another day of rushed, inconsiderate behavior. But at least for a few minutes, he experienced what it's like when someone else's actions make your life a little more difficult. I drove home taking my time, staying in the right lane and using my turn signals, just like I always do.